Oh my, I'm Bob the Cigar Guy. This is Travelers Rest, South Carolina, and this is episode 30 of I Got the Smokes, Let's Ride podcast with me, BTCG, brought to you by Camacho. And we got some new and exciting things going on, but you got to get out of that work parking lot. It is 5 o'clock on Friday. It is time to get the weekending. That's right. We don't live to work. We work to live. So let's get done with work and let's get started with living. And look at my screen. Look at it. Look at it. How awesome is that? It got the Camacho cigar on the side. It's got the logo on the bottom. It's got the Camacho on the side. It's got the little scorpion back there. Right? I love it. Dog it. I love it. I would like to say that I came up with this. No. You know, this got Chief's hand all over it, right? Man, I got to tell you, just yesterday, I wasn't planning on shooting this video for 4 or 5 days, right? I mean, it's I got things to do, but yesterday it was my daughter-in-law Steven's wife Shenny J's birthday. Well, she had her birthday the week before, but she's back home. They went to Conway Myrtle Beach for her birthday and for 4th of July. And so we said, First Lady said, "Hey, let's all come over and we'll sit on the porch and we'll have a cookout and we'll do a birthday celebration for Shanny J." First Lady's great about that stuff. And so Chief came over and also I Got the Smokes Let's Ride podcast was that morning, or no, Second Saturday's the First Lady podcast was that morning. And so Chief had to come over and do the podcasting for her because they got me working like crazy. I'm working every day pretty much. And so I got called into work, and so Steven had to come out and do duty. So he's already out here. And so as he's sitting there, he pulls out his computer and he whips up and clips up all this and that. And then later in the day, he goes, "Come here and sit down and look." I'm like, "Dude, are you kidding me?" And he's like, "Yeah, it took me about 20 minutes. And I'm like, "What? Man, this would take me days. And it wouldn't look this good, right?" And I said, "Can we change a couple things?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Serious?" I said, "It's not going to be a bunch of work." He goes, "Yeah." And so I said, "Can we make the scorpion darker? Can we make it a little smaller and bring the tail in to where you can see the tail?" It was offset a little bit. And I dialed that in. And I said, "The Camacho cigar, I like the one you got. It's a white and black and white band." And I said, "I like it, but I really like blue. Is there any way we can do one of these blue ones as well?" Because he had all of it. And he goes, "Yeah, I'll make you two." I said, "Serious? Is this going to take all day?" He goes, "No, just hang on." He just doop, 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 bloop, 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 blah, 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 and he just did it. And I'm like, "Dang it. All right, go ahead, boy. That's good stuff right there." Almost as good as 5 o'clock on Friday when it's time to get off work and get in the car and go home. That's right. So this episode is brought to you by our friends at Camacho. And boy, howdy, this is an upgrade. I got to get better at doing podcasts because the frame is better than the picture, right? But you smoke cigars? Yes, you do. Light up a Camacho or a Davidoff or a Zeno or a Navo or a what? Baccarat. That's right, a Baccarat. I don't know why I whispered. I just felt ASMR-ish, but I shout it from the rooftops, Baccarat. But I digress. I've only had a couple Baccarat in my life, so I need to quit being a poser and give me some Baccarat and give it a shot. But I have had a lot of Davidoff. I've enjoyed the fool out of them. I've had a lot of Avo, like Avo a lot. Camacho, man, Camacho. This is my favorite rum barrel age. You can't get this anymore. I actually pulled this out because this is my last box. I'm halfway through the box, but it just felt like a day I really wanted to celebrate a little bit, and so I pulled this out. And I'm smoking this up, but Camacho got some great stuff. Then you've got Zeno, which has got some epic stuff, and then you got the Zeno Nicaragua with Laureen Tobacco Cupcake, going around the country in a van with a trailer and just bringing the party to you. Got that whole Jimmy Buffett vibe going on. God. Oh, man. And then there's baccarat, and I've had a couple of those. So mm, having a hard time paying attention right now because I've got my little webcam right in front of me. Like I told you, I think last week I set up a whole frame with magnets and metal plates and stuff like that. And I've got a piece of angle that runs across that holds the camera where I can stare at it. So I'm looking directly into your soul. Right. Not really. But I'm making good eye contact. And so I can't see myself on the screen, which Chief says is much better because then I'm not looking at the screen to make sure I'm in frame. I'm not a narcissist. I don't think I look good. It's not for that. It's just I'm making sure that I'm in spot. But by having the camera in the way of my face on the screen, then I'm looking directly into the lens, which all studies say is much better for engagement with your audience, right? You look them directly in the face and you let them know. And then you just kind of look off when you're thinking, when you're wondering, when you're figuring. Did you know that first first sidetrack of the day that if when you do a video, there's so much science and psychology of videos. When you do a video, if you are sitting on this side, come here. If you're sitting on this side of your video, you are engaging in things of the future. You are psychologically making people think about the present and the future. And if your video, come on, microphone, if your video, you are over here, you're reminiscing of the past. So if you tell a past story, you're supposed to sit on this side. If you're telling something that's relevant and of the day, you're supposed to be sitting on this side. And if you are doing where you're not staring into the camera, sometimes you don't do that. If you're looking to the future, you're supposed to look off this way. And if you are reminiscing in the past, you're supposed to look that way. It's one of those physical social cues, unspoken communication. I am not that technical. I am not trying to do all that. Which side do I need to be on? Where do I need to be? How do I need to stand? What? Because there's a bunch of stuff you're supposed to when you engage in communication with somebody. It's crazy when you engage in communication with somebody, and you want them to know that you're engaged in communication. You give them 3 quick but not fast nods, not 4, not 2, but 3, and not too fast, not too slow. Don't bobblehead because that's distracting. Also, you want to emote of a feeling of authority. The distance between the bottom of your ears and the top of your shoulder, the longer that is, the more authoritative you are, the more knowledgeable you are. So don't shrink yourself like this. Drop your shoulders. And you're supposed to tilt your head a little bit. Well, now, wait a minute now. If I tilt my head a little bit, I've shortened my ear on this side, but I've lengthened my ear on this side. Which ear are we talking about? Do I go this way? Do I go this way? If I don't know which one I'm doing, do I just go like this? Does this make you feel like I'm in charge? Do you feel like you're in charge? Does this make you feel like I know what I'm talking about? Heck no, it doesn't. It doesn't. It also talks about if you've got these 2 stripes in the middle of your nose, up top right here, these 2 things, if they're just natural there, that means that you are an intense individual or you're old man that's grumpy. I fit the second. You can go so deep down the rabbit hole. Oh my gosh. When you talk, how you're supposed to drop your voice and how you're supposed to speak with authority, and the fact that a deeper voice, dropping it down just an octave, gives you the feeling of, or gives your audience the feeling of authority, because when we are children, we are taught, educated, and disciplined by people with deeper voices than us. So if you have a deeper voice, that means that they are better than you. Really? Really? And then there's a bunch of other stuff about handshakes and about posture and about hugging and about eye contact. 60% is exactly right. Unless you are of the Asian, if your audience is of Asian descent, and then it's a little less. So let's make eye contact 60% of the time. But the most important time to make eye contact is when you first meet somebody and then at the end of an important sentence. You let your eyes wander around as you're talking about whatever it is. And then when you come to land the plane, you find that person that's been nodding, engaging with you because you study the clues, the cues, the signs. And then at the very last second, you just look at them deep in their eyes. And that makes a connection. And they say, you know what? I get that person. And then if you want somebody to join you in something, you're not supposed to sit across them and talk to them and give them eye contact, right? You are supposed to sit next to them and look towards whatever item it is that you want them to join you in, whether it is something on the computer, something on the phone, something in an environment, something in whatever. Really? And these people that do this, I watch these little short videos on YouTube and Facebook, and I made a mistake because the first one was really cool. This lady was cool. And so I liked it. I usually don't like stuff, but I liked it. When you like something, you know it's going to populate in your feed. Well, now I'm getting tons of it. Not only am I getting it from her, I'm getting it from these other people. And these people make bagoodles of dollars. Yeah. Not a goodle, bagoodles. Bagoodles of dollars going to Fortune 500 corporate events and sitting down with their highest management people, shiny shoe people, and teaching them how to manipulate their presentation to get people to do what they want. So I first started out watching the videos because it was interesting to me. And I was like, oh, all right. Okay. Wasn't a manipulation, right? It was just like, all right, look somebody in the face a little more. I am hyper vigilant. I know that about myself. Going to a restaurant, I sit with my back to the door or with my face to the door. Right. I'm looking for exits. I'm looking for threats when I go in, especially when I got the first lady, the grandkids or the kids. It's my responsibility. So when I'm having conversations, I'm actually not looking you in the eye as much as I'm scanning the room. Really. And so it becomes a habit for me, and I don't look people in the eyes as much as I should. And so the science, the pseudoscience, was interesting to me of you need to look somebody in the eye 60% of the time. And you know what? If you really want to drive a point home, look at them at the end of the statement. I'm like, all right, if I want to get my point across, if I want to get a connection, which I do, I want to connect, I'll do that. But these people have taken it to a different place where it's, in my opinion, manipulation. They give you boogaddles of money. They give these people boogaddles of money to come in and tell them how to manipulate people. How do you get your point across? How do you become an effective speaker beyond that? How do you get people to bend to your will based upon what you want them to do? And there's a part of that in society. We all have that. But to be predatory in it, I don't think that's a good thing. Let me look in the eye when I say that. I don't think it's a good thing. Right. If you'd spend more time on being a good person, looking out for other people, figuring out how to find a cause that people would join you in because it has value to them, it has value to others, and it has value to you, I think that would be a better use of your time and money. If you're so worried, okay, Christmas, I still have trauma over this. I have trauma over this. Let me shrink my shoulders and make myself small because I'm supposed to do that when I want to portray vulnerability and make you empathize with me. Let me get tiny. Let me get little tiny. What you're supposed to do. So, which we do naturally, but when you turn it into theater, unless you're an actor in a movie, I don't know if that's good or not. But anyway, Christmas. God, I was young. Young. Every day, every Christmas, we got to open up one present Christmas Eve. And we always got socks. We always got underwear and t-shirts. Using a new pair of shoes. And I came from humble beginnings. And then we get a couple good toys, some stuff like that. And my dad was a letter carrier, mailman, and on his route was a toy store called Toyland. And he became good friends with the guy at Toyland. And he would go in there and work sometimes through the Christmas series, through the Christmas holidays. And I'm like, man, this is banging because I'm going to get toys. I'm going to get great toys. Right? He's going to give you. We called him Uncle Bill, the guy who owned the place. Uncle Bill. He always had candy in his pocket. Predator. No, he's not. But he's just one of them old guys that just has candy in his pocket. And you go in there and hang out, and he give you quarters to play video games and stuff at his place. And so I was like, man, this Christmas is going to be banging. And so Christmas Eve, there was a box. I pegged them socks, shirts, shoes, right? You had to shake them. I could tell by looking at them. There's a box. Oh my God. The Christmas wrapping paper was gorgeous. It was like that mall wrapping paper where you could fold it and crease it, and it was so full of metal paint and whatever that you could actually fold it and crease it around a box, take the box out, and it still stands shaped like a box. You know what I'm talking about. And it had a big old fat hawking ribbon on it. And I'm like, man, that's a good one right there. Boy, I tell you what, let's get into that. I'm gonna get my toy today. Didn't want to wait. Didn't want to enjoy it on Christmas Day. I want to enjoy it right now. Gorgeous. It was gorgeous. Man, I knew that thing was amazing. I forget what toy was in vogue right then and there. You know, the Cabbage Patches. By the way, my sister got a Cabbage Patch. When I tell you what I got, you'll say, "Man, you got robbed." I mean, Cabbage Patches were crazy. People were paying $600-700 for Cabbage Patch. I mean, they were doing auctions and lotteries on stuff, Cabbage Patch and stuff. It was crazy. So there was the box, and I said, I want that one. And I'm like, nah. My mom's like, son, you really don't want that. Why don't you take this box? And it was just a regular old box, just basic wrapping paper. We were so humble. They would save the Christmas, or they would save the cartoons from Sunday, which used to be color cartoons, and they would wrap presents sometimes in color cartoons. And there was a present that was wrapped in color cartoons. And I don't want Sunday cartoons on Christmas Eve. I want that big shiny box. I want that box. Give me the box. I want the box. I want the box. What's in the box? Shout out to Krista K. By the way, I'm smoking this Camacho rum barrel aged right here. Not the Camacho that's over there on the side, the blue Camacho. How gorgeous is that? It's not me sharing with the Scorpion because the Scorpion can't have it because it's mine. By the way, the logo, I got the Smokeless Ride with Bob the Cigar Guy. That's Camacho font. Camacho has a font. Chief has Camacho font. How cool is that? So cool. So cool. Anyway, so we get to the time for me and my sister open up our presents. Right. Mom and dad didn't open up presents because they didn't get many. And it's Christmas is for the kids, right? We were young. And so my sister opened up hers and it was, I don't remember what it was. Probably Barbie something. Barbie dolls used to be cheap back then. And Uncle Bill had probably given my dad a bunch because he liked the girls. He didn't have any daughters. And so my sister would always get extra stuff. Right. So I go to open my box and I'm excited. I think it's something amazing, something wonderful, and this and that. And I open the box, I take the wrapping paper off. I open the brown, non branded cardboard box, ready to open it up and get my joy. And what's in there? A globe, of the world. Pedestal. It's probably 4 foot tall, big around, small beach ball, a little bit bigger than a basketball. It's a nice globe. But that's not a Christmas Eve present. I had to put it together and everything. And all you do is spin it around and look. Oh, yay, let's look. And I really used it. I used it a lot. Because I used to be the kid that my dad, okay, let me back up because some people might be watching this that weren't born in the 70s. We didn't have phones. We didn't have Google. We didn't have internet. We didn't have any of that. So you had to search through what's called encyclopedias. And we had the World Book Encyclopedia, the Britannica Encyclopedia, big, huge volumes, nice brown leather volumes. And then we had the Britannica Junior Encyclopedia, which was red, which was more youth specific, but it was still very informative. When you did a report for school, you had to go to the library and you had to pull out a dozen different books and do your research. You couldn't even scan it with a scanner because copiers, we had copiers, but you didn't get to use that because copy paper was 25 cents a piece, and 25 cents is a lot of money back then, right? If you could use it, usually they didn't let you. So I used that globe a lot because, like I said, my dad, we had the Britannica encyclopedias. And so he would put the Britannica encyclopedia on the back of the tank of the toilet, and he'd go in there and he'd sit on the sitter and he'd read. And so I picked up on it. And so I went and put my own little Britannica Junior encyclopedia in there, and I would open it up and I would read on it. I mean, I've read through every page of every volume of Britannica Junior encyclopedia. I did. I learned a lot about a lot of things. And so later on in life, I would take that globe after it had been kind of wore out. I'd started by spinning it around, and then I would poke it. Where my finger landed, I would um I would study. I'd learn about that. If it was Croatia, if it was um Bangor, Maine, if it was, wherever. I just open up the book and I read about it. I find out what minerals were under the ground. I'd find out what the population was. I'd find out what their state bird was. I'd find out what their state song was. I find all that stuff out. I really would. I go dive deep. Um and just nothing else to do. I mean, you didn't have a lot of stuff on TV. You didn't have the internet to play with. You didn't have video games. So you had to do something, right? You're sitting in your room. And so that's what was there. That's what I did. Got a little older. I got a dartboard. And so then I started spinning the globe and I throw a dart at it because that's more dudeish, right? More boyish because boys have to destroy things. At least I did. And so I would learn about those places, right? So that globe lasted me many, many years and I learned a lot from that globe. But Christmas Eve, I got lied to. That's what I felt like. You mean you wrapped up this box in the best wrapping paper and it's a stinking globe? Really? Eh. And funny enough, the box that was the box that was in the non-exciting box that was in the cartoon paper was the best gift I got. I mean, I forget what toy it was. I think it might have been. I think it was. It was the Batman T handle car. Oh my gosh. They had a toy, which was the Batman motorcycle, the Evil Knievel motorcycle, the Superman motorcycle, this, that, and the other. And it was a motorcycle about the size of half a loaf of bread. And you put it on this little stand, and you would crank the crank, and you'd run the crank up, and then you would stop, and the Joker would take off and go zoom, and it would go. It would fly. Well, the car, the Batman car, which was the pinnacle of all the cars, because what they did was they just made a bunch of cars with the same gear in them. You put this T handle, it's like basically like a bumpy zip tie, big, that you would stick in there in this middle tooth gear wheel in the middle of the car, and you would stick that thing in there. It would wind the wheel back, and you would yank it as fast as you can and lay it on the ground, and that Joker would just go zoom. It would go through drywall. Don't ask me, I know. It put so many dents on the trim on the floor of the kitchen, of the hallway, of this and that. My sister got so many bruises on her ankles because I would wait till she walked down the hallway, and I'd pull that thing and let her go, and she couldn't get away fast enough, and it would catch her, and she'd trip, and she'd fall, and I'd laugh, and I'd get a spanking. But God, that was an amazing toy. Oh my God. And it was in a little bitty old dumb box. I would have opened that box Christmas Eve, and I would have started my reign of terror right then and there, because you could take that thing. Oh my gosh, you could dig ramps, you could build ramps, you could set up blocks, you could set up everything, and you could have them jump and bust through stuff. And oh my gosh, tried to get it to walk on water, it just could not keep up. The nose would dive into the water. It didn't work really well. But if you got it on wet asphalt or wet concrete, it would sling water out the side of it. And oh my gosh, that thing was just, oh my, I played with that so much. Love that thing. God, there was no paint left on that thing by the time it was done. Wow, I hadn't thought about that in forever. Man, I miss that thing. That was so much fun. I got to look online and see. Hang on. Hang on. Yeah, this is great. Let's go to eBay. Batman T car. Let's see if it's it. No, no, no. Oh, wait. Nope. Nope. All right, let's try this. Batman Polgar. Oh, let me get my glasses. Oh, she's gonna be mad because the channel's about to buy something, I think. All right, let's see. That's not it. Oh, I got ash on the thing. Batman in car, 1997 DC Comics pullback car works. That's not what I want, man. I thought that was it. I thought that was it. All right, I'll try one more thing and that'll be it. I don't want the pullback. Oh, come on. You try one more and then we'll be done because I got a show to do. Sorry. This is oh my God. T handle pull car. Is there going to be one? Is there going to be one? Man, I hope there is. Pull back. I don't want pull back. That was stupid. That's just little things. You draw back, and when it gets full, it goes click, 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 click. And if you keep pulling it past, Then it busts. I got to try one more. Let me go to Safari. Let's go with Batman. 70s toy car pull handle. There it is. There it is. Vintage 1973 AH1 Batmobile Azrak Hamway Zip T pull cord Batman Robin car. Let me see. It's on eBay. See if I can get a good picture of it. Oh, is this the upgraded one? It doesn't show the T handle. Stupid. Dumb advertising. This isn't exactly the one that I'm talking about, but it is dang sure close. Let me see if I can get that picture. That thing right there. See a big wheel in the back? You put your T handle in it, and that's the only wheel that really touches the ground. The rest just guide. But that's the toy I got. It's not exactly that one. The one I had was cooler. At least my memory says it is. But yeah, and it's only $25. I'm gonna do some shopping. You may see this on a show. You may see me having this and show it to you in the future because I'm gonna find one, and then I'm gonna get the Evil Knievel pull cord motorcycle, and we got a hill in the backyard, and I'm gonna show these kids what fun is about. I'm gonna show these grandkids what life was before technology. We had all the kids over, like I said, the grandkids over, and they're playing in the yard. Grammy, first lady, she made lots of floaty toys, and she's got a watered bounce house with a cannon and a swimming pool and a slide on it and all this other stuff. It's all over the deck, and she just loves doing that stuff. And the kids are all playing and having a good time. And then all of a sudden, one of the kids goes, "Can I go inside and watch TV?" I'm like, "What are you doing? Can I go inside and watch TV? Can I dry off and go inside and watch TV?" And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "No, boy, get out here and play with your family. Go play." But I got to stay in my lane because if I engage, then I'm responsible. I don't want to be responsible. I just want to sit there and chill out. All right. I don't work all day. And so I just shut my mouth and I let the ladies go, just dry off first. And I'm sitting there going, really? Really? Just dry off first and go in there? So I go in there and they're watching cartoons. And then slowly, one by another, they all go in there and they're watching cartoons. And I'm like, the sun is shining. You have slip and slides, you have bounce houses, you have every bicycle, tricycle, scooter, and whatever known to man. Go play. There's dirt out there. Build a fort. Dig a small tunnel. Fill them in because I get mad when you dig holes in my yard and you don't put them back. But do something. But I tell you what, I get these little ripper zipper things. And the kids probably won't get to play with them because Stephen, Caitlin, and Shannon will probably say, "Give me that thing." And we will set up worse ramps. We will jump over fences. We'll say, "Let's see if we can jump over that fence." And then we'll send the kids to go knock on the neighbors. "Excuse me, ma'am, can I get my toy out of your backyard?" We're the ones that put them over there, right? But we send the kids, right? It's true. We've done it. Steven's done it with the football. You kick it over the dang neighbor's fence. And he'll tell the kids, "Go over there and get the ball." "I didn't do it." "Don't you talk back to me." I'm like, all right. The apple is not falling far from the tree because I would have sent Steven over when he was a kid to do the same thing, right? All that because I was talking about people manipulating in conversations. And so then I was trying to say, I talked about if you'd spend more time on your content, maybe you don't need all these tricks, all of these processes to get people to join you in your communication. If you focused more on the meat and less on the plate, then maybe you would you'd have a better story. Or you have a better mission, you have a better accomplishment. You'd have more collaboration. And I understand some people are not good at communicating, not socially forward in that, and they need a little help. But it just started getting into a point to where it was almost manipulation. It was. So I tell that story, I run down the rabbit hole because the package, the Christmas present package, I judged it on the outside and not on the inside. I got disappointed because there was no gift, no toy at the end of that rainbow. And the one that was done in just basic thing gave me so much joy. You saw it on my face. You saw me stop my video, my sponsored Camacho video. Great Camacho, right? Love Camacho. Keep sponsoring me, please. But I got so much joy out of that toy. I just got more joy out of that toy right now. And I haven't thought about that in, God, I'm 55, 45 years, probably. If I had the toy in a box somewhere, I would, I'd be done with this video as soon as it's done. We got another 24, 23 minutes. I would go find it and go play with it. I am going to buy one. And I think I'm going to buy the Evil Knievel because if I only buy one, then the kids are going to fight. It's my turn. He touched me. He did it. And those little zipper things, I'm going to warn them that they will not beat each other with that zipper thing because we used to get into zipper fights with those things because those things hurt as bad as a freaking car antenna. You pull a car antenna off. We used to do it when we were younger. When I owned a hot rod and custom shop, we take antennas off cars and we go beating each other with them. Hit him with your dipstick, Jimmy. Right? I mean, we would whoop each other with those antennas. Those antennas, a little ball on the end of it. God, dog, those things hurt. Mazda B2200 was the best antenna. Had the most flex. It would not bend. It would spring back, and that little ball at the end was just a beast. Oh my God, that thing hurt so bad. Sorry. Wow. Okay. So we will not get into zipper fights. And that toy was built for the concrete walls on purpose. And you damage the wall. Now you chip up your paint, you dent your plastic and this and that, but you pull it out, you crank it up, you get it again. Get dirt in it, get dirt in the gear, don't care. Get it. Leave it out in the rain for a week and forget it's there, get it. Bury it, dig it up, get it, rinse it off. It didn't matter. Throw it in the bottom of your toy box, still a good toy. Look at the toys of today. My gosh. You can't, you got to be ginger with that thing. I came home. This is off topic, but no script. I came home yesterday and sitting on the couch. I don't know who got it out of upstairs from my office. When now First Lady has the office now, but where my office was, I got a bunch of stuff around, and I bought a set of Rock'em Sock'em robots. You know, the red and the blue guy on the yellow boxing match. You had little two buttons on the back, and you try and knock him in the head to where the head would spring up. Rock'em Sock'em Robots was down on the couch. And I'm like, what the heck is this out here? That was a toy that you could beat up, that you could put a whooping on, and it would just keep coming back. Toys were different back then. Kids were different back then. Boy, I tell you what, there was no way. There was no way I would pass up being outside in a child-centric area and come in the house. It was actually funny. The first lady, she overbuys. She always gets extra. She came out with these super soakers after all the kids were playing and this and that. So she pulls out more. And we cut them out of the packages. Chief cuts them out of the packages. We figure it out, and they're perfect for that pool thing because they're a big long slot. You just kind of stick the thing in the water. You pull back on the plunger, and it sucks water up into it, and then you push it out, and it squirts 2 Diet Pepsi's worth of water at you at a good 30, 40 foot volume at intensity. And I'm sitting there on my phone, looking at my phone. Gracie's over there looking on her phone, and Shannon Jade's reading a book. And so we pull these out, and the kids start squirting. And very, very quickly, the grown-ups, all of us, have surrendered the porch because I'm sitting there going, they're not going to intentionally hit me, but I'm going to get hit with a wall of water, and then I've got to lose my mind. And I just don't feel like doing that today. And so we all got up, we walked inside, we surrendered the porch to the kids. Nobody said nothing to anybody. We all just got up and walked in. And we're all sitting around in the room. I'm watching TV. Yeah, I just said I wasn't going to watch TV as a kid. I'm not a kid no more. I'm a grown up, so I'm going to sit in front of the TV with air conditioning, drink my Diet Pepsi on a comfortable chair, lean back with my feet up, watching Storage Wars or Forged in Fire or American Pickers. I think that's what I was watching. It's made, Modern Marvels, any of that stuff that nobody likes to watch. So I was sitting there, and a little while later, first lady goes, "Where's Big Daddy?" That's what they call me. Oh, he's in the bed. He's in the living room watching TV. And I hear in there, and all the other girls are in there, and Steven's somewhere. And she's like, "I guess getting those squirt guns wasn't a good idea because all the grown-ups came inside and we can't enjoy the porch and none of us said it, but all of us knew it, that they were going to squirt us, and I was not playing that game." Right? It ain't funny, that moment. So the first lady went out, and she basically took up all the squirt guns, and we slowly all worked our way back outside on the porch. But when I was a kid, I didn't have kid friendly things. You might have set up a slip and slide, but we had to build our own slip and slide. And that's it. I mean, this is a park for kids. It was tailor made for kids. There's tons of bicycles everywhere. There's tons of scooters everywhere. There's tons of tricycles everywhere. They got hills to run up and down and ride up and down. They've got basketball court out there. They've got, man, it is the Taj Mahal of children. And they want to go inside. That's not good. I've got a shop, and they're almost old enough. They are almost old enough where they have enough manual dexterity and they have enough focus, because I could teach them how to use the drill press, how to use the wood lathe, how to use the welder, how to use the forge. I could keep them safe-ish, safe adjacent, and teach them a skill. But their physical ability is there. Their mental ability of paying attention long enough is not. And I am results driven. I start a project, I'm going to finish a project. Unless it's my project, then I'll drag it out a long time. But if I'm doing something, teaching somebody something, we're going to go through all the processes. If you're going to make something with a forge, we're going to pick the metal. I'm going to tell you about the metal. I'm going to tell you why this metal works this way. I'm going to put it in the fire, and I'm going to talk about the heat, and I'm going to talk about the color, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to take time to teach you so that I don't have to do it with you all the time. You'll have all the tools you need to do it. I'm going to teach you how to strike with a hammer on the anvil. I'm going to teach you what not to do on the anvil, and don't break my anvil or smash my hammers or don't mess up your project. We're going to make a hook, or we're going to make a this or that, a knife or something, a twist something. But they're not old enough to have that much patience to go through the whole process. And at some point, it's going to be me fussing at them, say, sit there and pay attention. They're not going to have a good taste in their mouth about it. And I think they might not want to do craftsmanship stuff. And I want them to, but they're getting almost old enough, older kids are, to where I can say, all right, we're going to do a project today. They have nails. They have a box of nails, and they have hammers. Each one has their name on them, and they're hung on a wall. And so they will get their bag of nails, their box of nails, and they will go out with their hammers. And I've got some scrap lumber, and they will nail the boards together, and they will make crosses or airplanes or ladders or something, right? And I used to do that when I was a kid. My grandfather had that for me as well. And so I'll make sure that they clean up and pick up, because if you don't teach them that at the beginning, they're going to be slobs in the shop forever. And I can't stand that. If you're working, you're working. Your job's not done till your workstation's clean. You don't want to leave that mess for everybody else, and you also don't want to lose your tools. And you want to keep your tools clean and everything else. And so I teach that from the very beginning. I did that when I had my shop with Stephen, Chief, and my Gracie. The first thing they learned how to do was take out garbage. Then they learned how to sweep. Then they learned how to put tools away. Then they learned how to use the tools, and they used hand tools, not power tools, to start with. They learned how to use a tape measure, which didn't have all the little 64s written on it. They had to figure out how to count the hashes and figure out what the hashes were. And then we moved up to better technology to where they had the basics and the fundamentals. I taught them all that stuff, and they've used it, they've applied it. And so that system works. And so I plan to do that with the grandkids as well. I also plan to do some stuff with Shanny Jade, because her experiences were not that kind of experience. And so I want her to have the feeling of success, of creating and making something that she can enjoy and other people can enjoy. The creativeness is a lane that I really value. So I remember the kids would come home from school when I had my shop. School bus would drop them off. They come in the house, or they come in the shop. They get a snack. They get to get in the vending machine and get a soda. And then they go upstairs and do their homework. And then they would come down and they would work in the shop, dumping out the garbage, picking up tools and this and that. But it was a time when fractions were big, and kids have a hard time with fractions. And so every single day, it's more on Stephen than Caitlin, because Stephen was first. I had a 5-gallon bucket every day. I would grab all my combination wrenches. All right, a combination wrench is a wrench of maybe a half inch, where one side is open like a C and the other side is closed. That's the combination part. And I had metric and I had standard, which is metric is millimeters, standard is half inch, quarter inch, 3/4 of an inch, 7/8 of an inch, 15 16ths, 54 60 seconds, all that stuff, all those wrenches. And I had a bunch of them. And I had them stacked where they were all neat. You know, they're different. They get smaller to larger based upon the length of it, is smaller to larger based upon the length or the diameter of the bolt that you're doing. Right, a 1-inch combination wrench is much bigger than a half-inch combination wrench, and so that's one of the cues. And so Stephen was having a hard time with fractions, like all kids were, and so I actually would grab dirty, nasty rags, or I get my hands dirty working on cars, and I would grab all the wrenches and I would throw them all in a bucket. And I throw some screwdrivers in there and some other stuff in there too, so you can know what Phillips and flathead and Torx and stuff was. And I would throw in a bucket, and every day when he comes home to the shop after he had done his homework and after he had had his snack and after he had said hello to everybody in the shop, you know, their little shop rats, they would do their little responsibilities, and then he would sit down and he would have to he'd have to clean my wrenches, then I put them in the toolbox in order. And I made him say, okay, which one's bigger, 5/16 or a 17 millimeter? Well, I don't know. We'll figure it out. And so he'd have to go get the two, and he'd hold the two open ends together, and he'd figure out which one's bigger, and he'd tell me. And then I say, okay, now go find which one is exactly the same size, millimeter to half or 2-inch, millimeter standard. And the one that's almost identical is a half-inch and 13. Anybody that's been turning wrenches for a while knows that. Half-inch will work for a 13 most of the time. 13 will work for half-inch most of the time, unless it's a really, really expensive bolt or nut, because then they're perfect. And he learned that. He learned it so well that we went into a school open house teachers meeting, one of them big group get together things. And they're talking, the teacher was talking about fractions, blah, 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 blah. We're learning fractions. It's very hard with your kids. Try to work with them, try to do their homework, try to this, try to that, try to da 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 da. This is one of the hardest things kids have a hard time learning, blah, 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 blah. And after it was over, the teacher came up to me and she goes, Steven doesn't have a problem with fractions. I said, no. She goes, no. She goes, he's way ahead of everybody. He's got fractions really good. I'm really impressed. And I said, oh, it's because of what he does at the shop. She goes, what's he do at the shop? I said, well, he every day, and I told her the story. I didn't talk about how dirty they were because I didn't want to be like an ogre. And I said, that's what he does. He has to put those back in because I knew he was having a hard time with fractions. And so every day at the shop, that's what he does. And she goes, are you serious? And I said, yeah, I'm serious. And she goes, that's a great idea. We have these things. And she showed me, and they're different colors and they're different diameters. They're different this and their measurements and this and that. And she goes, but yours is much better. She goes, is there any way that I could borrow your wrenches for a week? And I'm sitting there going, lady, I work for a living. I use my wrenches for a living. That's what I was thinking. I didn't say it. But I said, let me see what I got. I can't give you my primary wrenches because I use them every day, but I think I have a second set or a third set or whatever. And all this and that. And so I went to Walmart or wherever, and I bought a set of combination wrenches, metric and standard. And I just had them given to the school. I gave them to the teacher. I had Steven take them to the teacher, or Sarah take them to the teacher or something. And they actually used them. And that was one of their teaching aids. And I was like, all right. But, kids have to work. Now, Chief made all this. I got the Smokeless Ride with Bob the Cigar Guy thing, all this gorgeous Camacho stuff. He was quick to do it. It'd taken me days to try it, and it wouldn't be as good. He knows how to do that AI stuff. He knows how to do all that other stuff. The first lady does too. And it's just a tool set I don't have, that I don't want. And so as kids, we have to expose them to opportunities of tools to where they can be successful if they choose to. Now, Stevens turned wrenches. He worked at the car mill for a while. He worked in the shop some. He did some side gigs. He worked on his own stuff. He's done little stuff helping people. He did some building for people, like cabinets and shelves and tables. He built a real neat table for Shanna Jade way back when. All this other stuff. Caitlin, she had a worthless boyfriend, and we worked on the cars together. And she FaceTimed me one day and said, hey, guess what I'm doing? I said, what are you doing? She goes, I'm changing brakes. I said, what are you changing brakes for? She goes, let me tell you a story. And I said, okay. And she's sitting there by the car because she had a question to ask me. And she said, my boyfriend, we're sitting around with all their friends and they're talking about going to change brakes for $500 or something like that. And my boyfriend goes, hey, change your brakes, $500. Go get the brakes. I'll do it for $100. Go buy the brakes. I'll do it for $100. And so they took my daughter's car to go get the brakes because they're all busted, worthless humans. Sorry. It's sorry. If a man can't do stuff like that, it bothers me. Sorry. Anyway, they went and they couldn't figure out how to jack up the car. She had to show them how to jack up the car. They jacked up the car, then tried to take the tire off. The tire kept spinning. So she had to let it back down, show them how to do it, this and that. And then they got in there and they looked at the brakes like a new calf stares at a new gate, did not have a clue what to do. He had run his mouth because he had watched my daughter change brakes, watched me change brakes. Thought it'd be easy. It's not. Front brakes actually is not very hard, but if you don't know what you're doing, it's difficult. My daughter had all the tools in the back of her truck, back of her van. So she's FaceTiming me and she told me this little story. She said, so why are you doing it? And she turned the camera on her FaceTime and it's all these guys just standing at the back of the car watching. And she goes, Dad, they don't know how to do it. I said, really? She goes, yeah, I'm changing the brakes for all these guys. And I'm laughing and I get loud. I'm like, them guys suck. Do they sit down when they pee? I'm sorry. I mean, let me not finish talking about what I was talking about because it got a little bit graphic because I was shaming them. I was calling them out. I was sad. And then I said, "So you said it was $100 changing brakes?" She goes, "Yep." I said, "You getting $100?" She goes, "You bet I am." I said, "You gonna give it to your boyfriend?" "No, he can't change the brakes. That's my money." I said, "That's my girl." So she has the ability to do all that. We're in the middle of restoring a old pickup truck. So I gave them the skills and they chose to use them. It's not my responsibility to give them the skills in expectation of them using them. It's my responsibility to give them the skills so they have the option to use them. It's my responsibility to pour into them kids. I take it seriously. There's a lot of things. The first lady, she did all the hugging and cuddling and the boo boo blowing on and the band aids and the kissing the ouchies and stuff like that. That's not what I do. They're reading the books and bedtime stories and singing to them at night, which I love, but that's not my job. But I take that job seriously, even into my grandkids, and I'm training up my kids to instill that in the grandkids. It's my responsibility to make my children a little bit better than me and to give them the desires to make their children a little bit better than them. And then celebrating that. And that's how the Finley name keeps growing and keeps getting better. That's how we keep getting better. Right. And so it's my job with my studio, my shop, because I've got a lot of stuff to bring them in and figure out what their lane is and provide them opportunities to grow and allow them to choose if that's what they want to do. And if they don't want to do that, if they want to do computer stuff, I'll back them 100%. If they want to play music and not ever turn a wrench, I'm going to back them for that. If they want to be a thespian, I'll tell them to watch those videos on how to make sure that their ears are as low from their shoulders as possible. Scrunch up if they want to be vulnerable. Swell up big if they want to be powerful. And I want to expose them to the cigar lifestyle when they're old enough. I got years to go. But it's my hope that they'll want to sit down and smoke a cigar with their big daddy. If they don't like it, I'm fine with that. But I want to give them that opportunity. I do, and I want to provide it for them. I do. And you know what I want to provide for you? I want to provide for you some wisdom. You're here. You smoke cigars. I about guarantee you only have so much time. You only have so much money. So you want to make sure that every cigar you smoke is a great cigar experience. I can't talk about flavors as much because flavors are more of your experience, what flavors you like, this and that. But I bet you want a cigar with good construction. I bet you want a cigar with a good draw, right? Who doesn't like that? It's a little snug, easy to go, not too loose, not hard like a McDonald's shake straw that just caves in, makes your cheeks hurt. I bet you want a good burn. I bet you want that nice, crisp, even burn. I bet you want a solid ash. Might I suggest you find a manufacturer that's going to provide great quality control? And one of those is Davidoff of Geneva. That's right, Davidoff of Geneva. Davidoff of Geneva is the parent company of Davidoff, Camacho, Avo, Zeno Nicaragua, and that's right, the Baccarat. That's right, all of those brands have good quality control, have good construction, have good flavors, has something for everybody, has a vibe for every moment in your life. Might I suggest you get some and try some? Leave me a comment what your favorite one is. Leave me a comment which one you're leaning on. And if you don't like them, if you've had a problem, let me know too. I'd like to know that. Why not? Help me be smarter. Help me know more. It's not hard. I don't know much. I'm not very bright. But ah, this one went out because I talked too much. So it's funny. I ash right off the side of my desk, right on the floor. I do. The the carpet. We bought a piece of cheap carpet remnant just so that we don't have an echo on the floor. And when you walk around, it doesn't make noise. When the wheels roll, it doesn't have a problem. Or scoot your chair forward. And it's blue gray. Luckily, because the area where I ash off my right hand off to the side, I will ash right there. I got ash right in front of me, but I will ash right there all the time. It is gray. It is gray. I have to hit it with a broom before I vacuum. And I don't vacuum often, but I do it once in a while. People coming over. But now I will tell you this. Let me get back to it. I'm out of time. Oh, hang on. We're gonna go over for a minute. So there can be construction problems. It is a man-made agriculture product. There are possibilities of not the perfect cigar, but I can guarantee you that if your experience is anything like mine, you will have many more great experiences than poor experiences. That's my experience. I hope it's your experience as well. So we are out of time. This is the longest one yet. Sorry about that. I try to keep it to an hour, but I got chasing a rabbit, I guess. Anyway, I got to tell you though, I can't leave without telling you how awesome you are. I can't. And I can tell you to smoke great cigars. I can tell you to grab you a Camacho. I can tell you Chief does a great job at doing this graphic stuff. Love it. I can tell you that Gracie is awesome. I can tell you the First Lady is fantastic. Shanna Jade, she is a facet to the jewel of the Finley family that we didn't even know we needed, but boy, howdy did we need it, and it makes us better. The future is so great with the new Finleys coming up, all 5 of the grands. I can talk about that, but I got to talk about you because you are awesome. You are. You got so much love to give. You do. You deserve to receive the love that's coming to you. You have a purpose in this world, not by what you do, but who you are. And who you are is fantastic. You make the world a better place just by being here. So if you're going through hard times, know those days are going to end and great days are coming. If today isn't great, tomorrow will be better. And if tomorrow's not better, the day after will. There is hope and promise that tomorrow will be better. Today will be great. And I hope all your cigars get better and better after every puff. I do hope that. And I'm going to go ahead and go now. You've gotten to the driveway. Life's on the other side of that door. I mean that when I say that. Get out of that car. Get in that house. Give some of that love you got. Get some of that love you get that you deserve. And get to living. You only go around this world once. Stay around as long as you can and make it as best as possible. I will see you, I hope, next week. By the way, if I remember, the outline will look a little different. You will notice that the Scorpion watermark will be a little lighter. That Camacho cigar will be different because Chief be chiefing. I'll see you later. I love you. I really, really do. Later, Tater.